Hello, I just want to make a little video about a comment that Ricky Gervaise has made again about homosexuality. He thinks that when religious schools teach children that homosexuality is wrong, then they're committing a kind of child abuse. I think he means that if a homosexual child hears this, the homosexual child will feel bad about themselves and that they haven't done anything wrong, so they making them feel bad about themselves is making them feel bad about themselves for no reason, and therefore is child abuse. Well, I really have to disagree with him. The religious issue really doesn't mean an awful lot to me, although I can see the argument of religious people. Religious people think that creation is a gift from God, a creation of God, and that God wants it to continue, so therefore you have to continue it by procreating, by having a family. And that homosexuals don't do this, or not naturally anyway, not according to the will of God, so you know, they're doing something wrong. That's from a spiritual point of view, from a point of view of seeing things in religious terms, that makes sense. So if you're religious, that's what you would think, and you're entitled to say so. You know, you don't have to like everything in this world, you know. You can't be expected to like everything just because it suits somebody like Ricky Gervais that you should like this or that. I think he's probably trying to be nice, so I don't want to sort of have too much of a go at him, but I do think he's also being very not nice without realising it, perhaps, towards religious people. Maybe he just isn't religious himself, so he just doesn't have any natural sympathy or understanding of their point of view. There is some logic to it from their point of view, so if he's really going to be fair, really trying to be fair, he should be willing to see that logic, because there is some logic to it. I actually find it appealing as well from a spiritual point of view, because I like spiritual things myself. But my own point of view about homosexuality is that it's really not, well, it's, okay, it has religious aspects, but only the same as other illnesses, because I view it as an illness. It's a mental illness that causes you to behave abnormally. And it has physical effects too, because it stops you from having a family. So it's a mental illness with quite serious physical consequences in terms of passing your line down, in terms of continuing your existence through your children. It's the most serious, well, a very, very serious illness, because it kills you dead evolutionarily. In terms of reproducing, it kills you dead. You may as well have been I don't know, living in the times when a lion or tiger would have eaten you and been struck off the list before you were, I don't know, old enough to have a family, you know, 15, 14, whatever it was in cave people days. You know, it really strikes you dead in terms of reproducing. So it does have serious consequences. But it's basically an illness, and therefore, if you view it as one, it's something that should incur sympathy more than anything else, really. Now, homosexuals don't like that argument. They don't want to be thought insane, because in all other respects, they can be very high functioning. They can be very highly functioning. They can be, I don't know, they can run companies or something. You know, well, it doesn't impair them in other ways psychologically. It just impairs them in terms of their sexual behaviour. Also, they don't like things that are important to them, like their love affairs being deemed sad because they're ill and sick. I mean, who would? You know, but nonetheless, they are sad and sick because they're not normal, they're unhealthy, they're mentally ill. Now, this would cause them some distress to hear, but it's just their load in life. It's just the cross they have to bear through life, you know. We all have, as they say, our crosses to bear, and homosexuality is the cross of the homosexual. And given that they're often very happy with it, you know, maybe they shouldn't complain too much, but they can't expect other people to see things their way when their way is not normal. In fact, we should really continue research into cures for homosexuality. And we should also allow parents to deselect embryos if they're homosexual. Homosexuality is an illness. It's not like eye colour or sex or height or anything like that, or intelligence. It's not just a matter of a person's individuality. It's a matter of health. And people are entitled to care about the family they produce enough to make it healthy. If nothing else, it should at least be healthy. You know, so I do actually view it as an illness, and therefore, and I think that if you don't view it as an illness, you're perceiving it from some kind of viewpoint, which is abnormal. In fact, maybe since Ricky Gervais is so keen to see homosexuality as normal when it clearly isn't, maybe he's got his own agenda. Maybe he is himself homosexual and is, you know, defending homosexuals because he's one of them. If he's not, then he's got a leftist bee in his bonnet about the issue, and he's not being realistic about it. I know that some people say that homosexuality is a sliding slope, and that many people have some degree of it within them. Well, this is a possibility. Some genes show themselves to varying degrees. The genes for height show themselves to varying degrees. The genes for colour show themselves to varying degrees. It's quite possible that homosexuality could vary from individual to individual and not be something that you definitely do or don't have. You know, but you would still want to eliminate it as far as possible because it is an illness. And you wouldn't regard people as being victimized for being perceived as mentally ill if they are. And that's what homosexuals are. So, at least in that respect. So, in respect of their homosexuality. So you would, I wouldn't perceive them as being victimized if people perceived them as mentally ill, at least as far as their homosexuality was concerned. Thus, I wouldn't think it would be wrong to teach children that homosexuality is abnormal, or even from a religious viewpoint, that it's wrong. If you think that's a bit hard on your child, which it might be, don't send them to a religious school. Send them to another school. Don't send them to people whose interest and purpose for having that school is to teach something that they believe, and then tell them to change their whole life for you and become your slave, in effect, setting up a school just to serve your interest, when the whole point from their point of view was to teach their viewpoint, you know, because that just makes them your servant. And not because you're paying for any private school or anything, but because you're literally telling them what to do to serve your interests and your opinions rather than their own. And that's that disrespects their right to freedom of speech. It makes them your slaves, effectively. It takes away all their freedom, and so on and so forth. And it's also unrealistic too, you know. So when you teach a normal child to regard abnormality as normal, then you're child abusing. Then you're abusing the entire sane human race by determining that they shall be insane with you or suffer consequences. And that's political oppression. And that hurts a lot more people. That hurts many more people than criticizing homosexuality or calling homosexuality an illness hurts. Because they're more sane people, and hopefully there always will be. You know, so don't expect the rest of the world to go insane for you. That's a lot more abusive than teaching people that something which is abnormal is abnormal. Because then at least you're allowing them to keep their sanity. And from a religious person's point of view, it's more important to save their souls than to indulge in sin with them by backing it, and go to hell yourself. So there you have the two different sane viewpoints, and they make a lot more sense, I think, than Ricky Gervais's misguided one or incorrect one. I think he's definitely wrong to say it's child abuse to teach children that homosexuality is wrong, or that it's normal, or that it's abnormal. I think it is abnormal, and I think it's abusive to the entire population to misguide them with respect to the truth, which is what I think he's doing when he tries to tell people and make them believe that homosexuality is normal, because it's not. Thank you for watching.